Hello, and welcome to my managerial analytics project. Today we're going to talk about how to create a data-driven decision-making process and aggregate the data that we have in order to make decisions about the future of our scholars who come in and teach different components in Mercy College's physician assistant program. This process is a very simple process. We receive the data through the lecture surveys that students fill out, and we use that data in order to make decisions about the future of our guest lecturers who come into this program, and we want to see if the data is going to help us gain insight and knowledge.
Okay, so based on what we talked about, now we know that the program doesn't have any data-driven decision-making mechanism. They want to start doing that, but there's a limited data. We only have 63 students in the program, so it's going to be challenging. And what we needed to do in order to even start the process was to collect data. We started collecting data, and what ended up happening was that during this process, we used free softwares like Google Forms, as you can see. And basically, we wanted to know the guest lecturers who are coming to teach some of the components, how good they were. Should we ask them back? Should we increase their compensation? Should we do anything about that? Well, let's look at the data. So basically, this is Google Forms, free software, and we sent out this survey to the students. So this is a sample survey. Names were obviously removed for confidentiality purposes. So this is a survey for lecturer one. We used Likert scale. Basically, that is the scale such as how good it was, 1 through 4, and basically this is Likert scale out of 4. So we have 54 responses. Google already is giving us the visualization on relative frequency. So you see that how many people said 4, 3. So there's no 2 and 1 here. It's a good tool. If we go down here are the comments, but then Google gives us an Excel spreadsheet that looks something like this. Has the timestamp, who filled out the survey when. It has all the numeric, all the quantitative data we have. There's an additional comment. These are qualitative data. We can use it. We can code them in order to extract some useful keywords. So let's go through it. So these are all tabs for different lectures, and we have a comprehensive analysis here. So this is the raw data. This doesn't give us much. We can use this in order to come up with this. This is basically aggregating the data. This is basically using the data that we have and simplifying it in order to come up with a conclusion. So here you have the mean, approval rating, and all the frequencies. So here you can see for this question, instructors preparation for each class, 0 people thought that it was 1. That means that they don't agree with it. And we see that a lot of students kind of have a positive outlook on it, but the mean is out of 4 is 3.516129. So what does that mean? I mean, what is this mean? This limited domain, it doesn't have that much meaning to us. Although we aggregate it, we say yes, it's 3.5 out of 4 is great, but it's still a lot of people might not understand it. So we came up with approval rating. So here we just 3/4, and what is the percentage? It's very simple. We didn't use any advanced analytical functions. It's all either averaging them or dividing them. It's very easy. It's just a matter of what you do with it. And these are the ratings. So this instructor's preparation for each class period got an 88% approval rate. We do this the same way, the president is being evaluated, and that is basically overall approval rating. So we decided to take all of these and basically average these as well. And the average is 86%. So basically 86% becomes this lecturer's approval rating. And if we go to the comprehensive analysis, that we will do so. These are different lectures. We do the same thing with all of them. And here's your comprehensive analysis. Basically this one for the summer semester, these are lectures approval ratings. So as you can see, lecture 1 got 86%, lecture 2 83%, and so on. And we average these as well. So we basically, by averaging these, what we do is we set benchmarks. Basically we say, if we average these approval ratings and we get 92% here, basically the benchmark is 92%. In the future, we don't want any guest lecturers approval rating to be below 92%. If it is, we have to look into the frequency, we have to look into the comments, we have to look into different things to see what's going on, or even if we want to have them back. Or how are we going to treat their request for increase in the compensation? So it's really important. And we have something more concrete to make our decisions based on. General benchmark, that's the same thing. We average all of those different sections. In organization and planning is 90%, communication 91%, and the interaction, that's respect for the students and such, is 97%. So these are our benchmarks for each section as well. So let's go to guest lecture 2. For example, how is this useful? Guest lecture 2 has a good interaction. That's still below the our benchmark, 83% below. And then we have course organization planning for this guest lecture at 78%. You see, the guest lecture 2 has 83% overall approval rating. Although it's lower than our benchmark, it's still good. But we can realize why the approval rating is low. Because simply his organization and planning, or her organization and planning, was not good. Students overall gave her 78% approval rating through the surveys that we talked about. So this is a big problem. This is way below the benchmark, and we can look into it to see what's happening. Is the lecturer unprepared? Is he or she late? Is he or she canceling classes frequently? These are all we have to take into effect. For that, it's good to go to their individual findings and look into it. Basically, you have all of this, and organization and planning is not good. Okay, so basically we're glancing over, but these two are very, very important, because 84%, but here's the thing, you have a 70% here. Definitely lowered that average per section. So that is instructors' use of class time. We see that it's very low. That's a problem. We have to sit down and discuss the instructor's use of time. Use your time wisely, and basically also we have this way of summarizing and emphasizing important points. Seems like students weren't happy with it. With this one also, we can go back to the comments. This is qualitative data, and review that as well, and look into the frequencies as well. Basically, a lot of students are in between, and this is something that the guest lecturer has to work on. And the same thing we go as we look at things that are very, very salient, like use of challenging questions or problems. It seems like students weren't challenged enough, but again, the data, looking at relative frequency, the data is more on the positive side, so that's something that we can look at as well. And again, these are for all guest lecturers. We see that a majority of our guest lecturers fall, instead of the first two, are above the benchmark. So it's really good. I think it says something about their performance. So we're definitely gonna have them back.
Okay, there you have it. Easy. We didn't use any tough analytical functions. We didn't go into any fancy software. We just did basic analytics, but what is important is that we used it in order to get maximum insight out of the limited data that we had, which is really important. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully I'm looking forward to seeing your projects as well. And Dr. Bailo, give me that A.